Hey class, so I wanted to walk you through today's math problem. This is the best way I can figure to do it at the moment. So I'm going to be solving it for you here. Let's remember the question. Kelly was baking bread, but could only find her 1/8 cup measuring cup. She needs 1/4 of a cup of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of flour, and 1/2 a cup of whole wheat flour. How many 1/8 cups will she need for each ingredient? Put an S there. So our first step of our problem solving process is to read the whole question. Now let's underline some important information. She only has her 1/8 cup. She needs 1/4 cup of sugar, or 1/4 a cup of sugar, 3/4 a cup of flour, and 1 cup of whole wheat flour. Now, it doesn't exactly matter what ingredient it is, right? She has whole wheat flour, regular flour, sugar. Really what we're focusing on are these fractions here because those are the ones we have to solve for. Now, our question is, how many 1/8 cup will she need for each ingredient? So let me just jump in there with my highlighter so you can see it better. Each ingredient, we're only using 1/8 cup. And I'm just going to highlight on all of these just so you can see them a little better. So we know we have to split each of these fractions into eighths. And we know how to do that 2 different ways, and I'm going to show you both ways. So the first way we know how to do this, let's label our work. So we're going to start with the sugar. It's listed first. And we have to go from 1/2 of a cup, multiply it by something to get 1/8. So we know how to do this, but we also are going to show it using a number tape. So let me quickly draw out a number tape for you. And because we have 1/2, I'm going to split it in half, and I'm going to shade in 1/2 of that. Trying to make it as neat as possible for you guys. All right. So I have 1/2. So I need to get from halves to eighths. So I know if I split each of my halves in halves, I now have a fraction tape with fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. I know that, again, if I split those in half, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts, or my fraction is now out of eighths. So I've split my section, my 1/2, into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. And when I multiply or divide a fraction, it's the same on the top and the bottom. Oops, sorry, I don't know why I wrote 1 there. This should really be 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And I here have 1, 2, 3, 4 colored out of 8 whole squares. So she'll need, and because I'm going to label my work, that was step 1. Step 2, I drew this line. Step 3, step 4, step 5. I'm going to say, writing a full sentence, Kelly will need 4/8 cup sugar. Which means, and I showed you guys this on Zoom, she'll have to take her measuring cup and scoop it 4 times into the bowl. Okay, so we got sugar done. Let's just cross it off. Next, let's move on to her flour. She has 3/4 of a cup of flour. We need to make that into eighths. So you can do this 2 ways. I'm going to write so that my work is very neat. Flour. We're starting with 3/4 a cup times something will give us a denominator of 8. I also know how to draw beautiful number tapes. So because it's fourths, I'm going to start by splitting this into fourths. That's not exactly even, but it'll do, donkey, it'll do. And I'm going to color 3 of them. Beautiful. All right, here's 3/4. And I can do this again 2 ways. I could remember that if I split this in half, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They should be even. They're not because I drew them uneven. 8 equal pieces. Matches my denominator here, cool beans. So I also know 4 times 2 equals 8, which means I need to multiply the top by 2 as well. 3 times 2 equals 6. I'll match it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colored in out of 8 altogether. And Kelly will need 6/8 cup flour. And we're gonna go back and make sure that we label our answers, but for now we're gonna keep them there. I wanna just number my work quickly. I did this first. I drew second, I split it up third, and I multiplied fourth, and that's my answer. Okay, the last one we need to do is her whole wheat flour. Now, by now you probably understand the method we're using here. And so, let's first look back in here. She has, oh my goodness, I messed this up a little bit. Okay, this is our whole wheat flour. I mixed up. See, that's why it's important to go back in that question. This is our sugar. Silly Miss Regan. Okay, she starts with 1/4 a cup of sugar times something is going to equal 8ths. This one is going to be nice and easy because we're going from fourths. 1/4 into 8ths. Again, we just did this. We just have to split it in half. And 4 times 2 is 8. And 1 times 2 is 2. And I can count here. 1, 2 out of 8. So she'll need 2/8 cup of sugar. And I know that was a little confusing because at first I wrote this was the sugar, but that's actually the whole wheat flour. And the sugar was 1/4 of a cup. I mixed that up in the beginning. So let's just quickly get our answer all beautiful on the bottom. Kelly needs, we'll start here with the sugar. 2/8 cup sugar, 6/8 cup flour. You can't even see it. And lastly, she needs 4/8 cup of whole wheat flour. And that's my answer, so I want to be very proud of it. I'm going to box it up. I'll draw some stars around it. Why not, right? And there you go. So I hope that clears it up for you. I know it's a little tricky when you're just watching it on the computer, but there you go. If you have questions, just comment below, and hopefully I didn't confuse you too much by flip-flopping those. And we'll keep on working on these, but this is how we're taking a bigger fraction and splitting it down into smaller ones. Remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller those pieces. We want 1/2 of a piece of cake, right? We don't want 4/8, or we don't want 1/8 of a piece of cake. So there you guys go.